Hello and welcome to That British Homestead. Today I come to you, it's about 6 o'clock in the morning, I'm down the allotment, and I thought I'd talk to you about getting an allotment, because I know that lots of people are thinking about getting allotments, lots of you have allotments. I want to talk about the commitment of a allotment basically. So I obviously have two allotments. I've got this one and I've got the one next door. There's a lot of work that goes in allotments. I don't think people quite realise, but I have read that it takes about 2 hours a week to have an allotment. I think that I spend way more time down the allotment personally, but other people don't spend as much time. So it is like a sliding scale when it comes to allotments and how much time that people are willing to spend down here. But you reap what you sow. So the more time you spend down, the more you get back. So there's that to consider, and that's not talking about all the time that you spend with your seedlings if you start everything from seed at home, if you're harding things up at home, etc. So I spend about an hour down here every day, apart from weekends a bit different. So on a Saturday I'll tend to spend maybe about 6 hours down here, whereas on a Sunday I might spend 15 minutes, half hour down here, because I just go and check on the chickens and basically make sure that everything hasn't exploded in the few hours I haven't spent down here. So that is like a big point. I do spend quite a few hours down here because I like to get things done. I like to see progress. There's a lot of weeding to be done. I do a lot of weeding. Even with a no-dig method, there is a lot of weeding to be done. There's things like bindweed, stinging nettles, and I don't know what they're called, but they're like these horrible docks, I think. I hate them. They're like something that you have, because they're woody or vining or rhizomes or whatever, they basically take a few years to remove, so you just weaken them slowly over time. So it's all of that sort of good jazz to do. I'm also in the process of converting my allotment from where it's been years of digging to no dig, deep mulch, and compost mulch and things like that. So that is like a continuous thing that I'm going to be doing, which is very exciting, I do know. But it is important that you have that in the back of your mind, that if you are thinking about getting an allotment, it is a large time commitment. I'm not saying it isn't good, because I think it's amazing. I think everyone, well, not everyone, because then we wouldn't have enough, but I think that everyone should try to grow some of their own food, and it would be great if everyone tried to grow just one thing really. But an allotment is a great use of time, and it's really fun. So I don't think there's any situation where you actually miss out on an allotment as long as you work it. So as you can see, it is a lot of work, but I think it's great, especially if you've got kids. And I know I keep saying this, but if you've got kids, an allotment is like the cheapest day out that you can think of, because you can go down the allotment, give them a pack of seeds, and they'll happily just spread them around. Will they plant them in the right place? No. Will they plant them correctly? No. Will 90% of them die? Yes. But it'll be something for them to do, and they love gardening and they like spending time down here. I know that Jasmine does. She's a little bit begrudging to come down, but once she's here, she loves playing with the chickens. It's like 90% the reason why we have chickens is because she plays with them. And then she's got her little veggie patch, which is here, which is like 90% plants, 90% flowers at the moment. So we let her have a little patch that she can do whatever she wants with. She doesn't like weeding, so I do 90% of the weeding. It's a little bit like how you get a pet at home. You get a pet for the kids, but you know that you're going to be doing 99% of the looking after of the pet. That's what it's like giving a child a vegetable patch. She liked planting them, and they are looking really good, aren't they? That one's really cool. But she kind of likes to reap what she hasn't sown. But it is really good. I was exactly the same when I was a child, so I can't really blame her. But it is nice, but it is a lot that you need to consider. So another thing you can consider is that you get organic vegetables. If you're growing organically, okay, I know that lots of people choose not to, but it is an awesome way of ensuring that you get all the vegetables that you want, and it is overall much cheaper to grow your own vegetables than to buy organic vegetables from a trusted place. Also, obviously, you do want to buy local and things like that, and we do when we are buying stuff, but there's a lot of food that you can actually grow on an allotment pack. So yeah, it is good to have not only organic vegetables, but knowing where they come from and the level of organic they are, because obviously you can choose. If you don't agree with using slug pellets, you can choose not to use those. If you don't agree with using some organic sprays, you can choose not to do that. If you think that organic is just an absolute waste of your existence, you can go ahead and put as many chemicals as you want. It's literally your choice. If you don't agree with destroying rabbits, say, that are eating all your vegetables, you can choose not to do that. You can choose to use netting, you can choose to use whatever. We use a lot of netting here in the allotment to stop pests. It is like literally the world is your oyster when it comes to allotment gardening. You can do it any way you want. The potatoes are coming up, look, there's little potatoes. We'll have to cover them in frost cloth soon because it's going to frost. Another great thing about allotment gardening is that you get a community around gardening, and you get a community of people that love gardening, which in everyday life, especially if you're about my age, you don't really get lots of people that in your actual real life that really are passionate about gardening, because it's just something that people in the older generation tend to love. But it's great to be here because you get people of all walks of life that love gardening. You get to have them conversations, you get to learn, you get to talk about what they're sowing and etc., which is fantastic. It's one of the reasons why I love the YouTube channel, because you get so many people that are so passionate around the world of people that are passionate about gardening, which is just phenomenal, I know. But it is nice in your everyday life to have someone who can be like, oh, do you have 5 minutes? My cauliflower looks weird, can you explain why? And they'll come over and go, yeah, that does look weird, you've got caterpillars or something like that, you know what I mean? And that's really good. Maybe you are at the stage where you think, oh my goodness, isn't it time to harvest my onions, but they're not bulbing up, and someone's like, no, you don't actually harvest them until the summer. That happens all the time, right? Like, that is like my number one pet peeve with looking on the internet, is like, no, don't pull them up yet. And same as garlic, okay? That's something you learn with experience over time. You can also have great resources like YouTube videos and the internet and things like that that will help you, but there's nothing like better than being able to speak to someone, which is why it's so nice when you comment. So you can also grow what you love, like mushrooms that we're growing down here. You can also grow whatever you eat, which is the most important advice that I can give you. Don't grow something that you like. For example, if you think to yourself, I cannot stand carrots, I hate them. Who hates carrots? But if you think to yourself, I hate carrots, why grow them? But I do think that you should grow something that you haven't eaten before. For example, me, broad beans. I've never eaten broad beans until I grew them. They're not that bad. They're one of them things that you do get used to eating. I actually ordered them in a restaurant the other day for the first ever time. But they are something that you might not necessarily eat on everyday life. Like courgette for me, I'd never buy a courgette in the shop. We grow courgettes and we eat loads of them throughout the season, especially we make them into powders and stuff like that, so that we have them throughout the winter too. So that is something that is very exciting. You also get to eat more seasonally, and eating seasonally is really important, well, for me anyway, because it's so much better for you, the environment, and it also gets to the point where I haven't had a fresh tomato since October, when our tomato season ends, and oh my goodness, I'm craving tomatoes like anything. I haven't had a cucumber since cucumber season, which is ridiculous, isn't it? So when the cucumbers start producing, that's a very exciting day for us. We like gorge ourselves on cucumbers until you feel physically sick. I haven't had a courgette, apart from courgette powder, of course, since then as well, but you don't tend to crave courgettes, do you? I think it's because you have so many. At the moment, I have to say, because we eat seasonally, I've eaten a lot of things like squashes. I've eaten a lot of squashes. I've eaten a lot of stored vegetables as powders and things like that. I have got tomato powder still, which is not the same. Tomato sauces and things like that, but it's not like a big... I've told you the story, haven't I, where when tomato season's happening, I collect all the tomatoes in the morning and I take them to work. So I'm at work and I've got this huge, and I think it was like a black Russian tomato. Oh, my mouth's watering. And I like bite into it like, and as I bit into it, the side has exploded out into the world and splattered all over someone. Oh, so embarrassing. But yeah, in conclusion, you can eat healthier, you can eat better, and you can eat more organically, which is massive. You can grow what you want. And also, I know it sounds really weird, but I tend to gift people things that I grow, which I don't think everyone does. I think it's a bit of a weird thing, but I really like that because it's like so homemade. Like, it's beyond homemade, because not only did I make it, but like I grew it, I produced it, etc., which is beautiful. If you're into that sort of thing. I'm so excited about the orchard. I'm really hoping that we get like just one peach this year. If I got one peach, I'd be so happy. I don't know though. I've never grown peaches before. If you've got any advice, that'd be really great. As you can see, look, there are a few more blossoms, but some of them have fallen off. I've never grown them before, so who knows. But I'm so excited about this. This is what is going to be super exciting. In a few years we'll have plums, we'll have peaches, we'll have apples, and that's where we'll get like more self-sufficient in fruit, because we eat loads of fruit, and it'd be so nice if we didn't have to worry about that every year. Got black currants as well. We get oodles of black currants. We're going to make black currant jam. We don't really buy jam anymore. We have so many jams that we use. Still got rhubarb jam from last year. Started harvesting rhubarb. Rhubarb is something I'd never buy in the shops ever, but because I have so much rhubarb, as you can see, rhubarb, I made rhubarb and custard brownies. Oh my goodness, they're better than normal brownies. Who knew? Who knew? So yeah, there's sort of things like garlic. I grow a lot of garlics, and there's also things that you can do on an allotment, like cheats. I like that. Like not hardening things off and sticking them under frost cloth. What a result. Love that. I'm never going to be different from that ever again. I do something a little bit similar with my tomatoes, because I just don't have the time to continuously bring them out and put them back in, which you do need to do. So we'll see. We'll see what happens on that. But yeah, I'm just absolutely loving it. I think if you're on the cusp of thinking, should I get an allotment? Is that a good sort of fix for me? If you're on the cusp of thinking, should I get an allotment? Is it a good fix for me? I'd say totally do it. You only live once, don't you? And I know that lots of people keep saying, oh, I'd love to have an allotment, but I can't do it until I'm retired. I work 40 hours a week. Well, I'm contracted to work 40 hours a week. I work way more than that. I also have 2 allotments. I have a small family, and I have a very large dog that needs hours of walking every day. I walked him for an hour after a gigantic walk yesterday. So I was out all day yesterday just walking and things like that. That's why I have Sundays like family time, which is very important. But it is something you can work into your day. For me, after work, I'm shattered. Like, I get in about 5 or 6. I make dinner. We cook everything from scratch. So it is like an hour endeavour of cooking. And also, the issue is I'm just tired. I haven't got the energy. So I always make sure that I get up at 4, so that I have enough time to do the YouTube. I do that into about 5 o'clock. Then I get dressed, and then I come down here. Then I get dressed, I walk the dog, and then I come down here for about 6ish. So, you know, there's always ways of getting everything into what you want. If you want something, it is easy to do. I always say that. If you have a desire of having something, then you will move heaven and earth to have that. for me and my family personally, especially with shortages and stuff like that, I went to my sister's house the other day and she said to me, oh my goodness, I just can't get eggs anywhere. I was like, oh, don't worry about it, I have so many eggs. I was like, I don't even know what to do with it. I'm like making a 1,000,000 egg omelette every day. I was like, I'll just bring some eggs down for you. And I gave her something like 3 dozen eggs and she was like, oh my goodness, I just can't get eggs anywhere, which is awesome. I gifted some of my friends some eggs as well the other day, because you have an abundance, and when you have that abundant mindset, you find yourself being really wanting to give to everybody that doesn't have as much as you. It's like our peppers. I've overplanted this year, but I will happily give them away to people on the allotment, to my friends, to my family and things like that. I grow loads of plants for my family, so it's kind of making that community around yourself so that you have people that will help you out. Of course, it's very nice, but you can help them out as well, especially people that are newer to gardening and don't know these sort of things. It's really good to give out advice and say, like, look, I'm not an expert, I'm not perfect, I mean, who is, but this is what I would do. Oh, you're having that issue, have you tried this? And it's good to have that sort of communication, and an allotment is a great place to have that, because in a home garden setting, most people aren't growing vegetables. I mean, you'd have to be a right weirdo if you were growing Brussels sprouts in your front garden. To be fair, I'm not growing Brussels sprouts in my front garden this year. I'm growing broad beans, you know, much more normal. I'm growing broad beans, some garlic, and artichokes. Not the Jerusalem ones, you know, the bulb ones. I love those, they're so nice. I make them into like a mayonnaise, sauce, and we dip things in them, and we only have them once a year, so it's very exciting for us. I kind of overcook them, and then they turn into like a mayonnaise sauce. I can't explain it anyway. And we get loads of stuff and we just dip it in and we just eat that. It's great. I mean, we have it for like, if you have like steak and chips, we kind of dip things. It's just great. I recommend it. So that's very exciting. But I do feel like I've almost filled up my whole allotment. I think this is the strange thing, because when you first get an allotment, you're like, oh my goodness, there's so much room. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? Last year, I completely filled up the other allotment, and I filled about 90% of this allotment. I didn't do the whole lot because it was just overwhelming for me. But this year I feel that I'm probably going to run out of room. So it's one of those things, isn't it, where you're constantly expanding. I've put the orchard in, which was very great, probably one of the best things that I did. And I recommend that if you have an allotment and you're like overwhelmed for space, what I would say you should do is put something that is permanent in. You don't have to worry every single year to replant, because if you do that, so you don't have to worry every year to replant, because if you do that, then I know for instance that orchard's going to be there for years. I don't have to think, oh my goodness, do I have enough stuff, blah blah blah. I know that orchard is golden, and once I've done the deep mulch method, I can put strawberries things in there, little bushes around it, and make it into a like permaculture, what they call food forest. It's like the idea eventually, but my twigs are like this big at the moment. But I have grown a lot of things from twigs and seed that take forever, like asparagus, etc. So it is worth it. I'm waiting for some more wood chip, and then I'm going to plant my asparagus out. Very exciting. But yeah, so if you ever have any questions, or you think I'm doing something wrong, or you have some advice for me, like that peach tree, that'd be great if you know anything about what I'm meant to be doing with that thing. It's not frosty at the moment. I'm looking at the old weather app. There's not frost for the foreseeable future unless it changes. So it'd be great if you could give me advice for that. And if you have any questions for me, go ahead and pop them down below, because I love your questions. I answer every single comment. I'm not going to say I do it in a timely manner, but I answer. I don't think I've ever not answered a comment with like some witty, funny banter. Well, I think it's funny anyway. So yeah, if you want, go ahead, pop it down below, and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible, which is very exciting. I've got wood chip all over me. I'm going to work, I'm going to be covered in dirt again. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye. Oh, and if you haven't done already, please consider subscribing. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers. So if you haven't done already, please consider subscribing. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers, which is madness. It shocks me every day that like people subscribe and think that to me, like who'd want to listen to me rattle on. But yeah, if you could do that, that'd be amazing, because we can't do anything without you. You're amazing, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.